Welcome to Verbal Mirrors Reflecting Understanding podcast, where the power of words becomes a bridge between worlds. In this podcast, we embark on a dynamic exploration of the human experience, weaving a tapestry of diverse voices, stories, and perspectives. I am your host, LaVenia Richards. Join us on a journey that transcends boundaries, fostering connection, empathy, and a deeper understanding of the rich mosaic that defines us all. Get ready to reflect, resonate, and embark on a transformative odyssey through the art of conversation. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to Verbal Mirrors Reflecting Understanding podcast. I am your amazing host, LaVenia Richards, and I am so happy to be here. Listen, we're going to get right to it today, right? Let me tell you what our topic is going to be about. We're talking about from shadows to strength, surviving childhood molestation, and thriving in adulthood. We're going to get deep today, y'all. And I have none other than my amazing sister that I'm going to bring up, Miss Vanekia Saunders. Come on up and let the people see your beautiful face so we can chop it up with them.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. So listen, I want you to go ahead and just introduce yourself. Let the people know what you want them to know about yourself before we dive into all the things we're going to dive into. I want them to understand first and foremost that you are my sister, though. Just so that's put out there. This is my sister, and I love you to life. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for being my guest. But let the people know who you are.
Okay. As she said, my government name is Vanekia Saunders, but I do go by Nikki. I laugh because I said I was a Renaissance woman. I have a whole bunch of things under my belt. Nonprofit CEO and founder of Virtue Foundation Incorporated, board president of Harriet Tubman School of Excellence. I am a behavioral specialist, career-wise at this point, cosmetologist, mother of two young ladies, and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Yes, my beautiful nieces. Yes, you are, honey, a Renaissance woman. You understand? Honey, that's what we do. Yes, honey, yes. It's in our blood. We can't help it. So listen, as I stated, we're talking about from, shadow to strength because it's very empowering to be able to overcome molestation. Let's talk about that. That's the real thing. But surviving childhood molestation and thriving in adulthood, because I don't think people really understand that when you go through molestation as a child, it affects you as an adult, how you want to be touched, how you're looked at, how you maneuver, how you trust, right? It's so many things. And so I wanted to dive into that today because so many people look at people, and especially men, when they get in relationships with women, not being able to understand the mental effect that it has on women. So intimacy can definitely play a role. But we're going to dive into that later. The one thing I want to talk about is your personal journey. And so the question that I have for you, the first question is, can you share your journey of surviving childhood molestation and how it has shaped your life as an adult? So you can talk about, the process and all of that. So let's talk about it.
I think it's important to first explain the definition of molestation, because in my field now, I will talk with some parents and they'll be like, well, my kiddo, wasn't penetrated, so that means they weren't molested, and that's not the truth. The difference between molestation and rape is usually the age, as well as it's a grooming process. They don't just walk the perpetrator don't just walk in your life and say, hey, I want your child or your teenager. It's a process, whether they have to form a relationship with the parent, the cousin, the auntie, whoever, to get in. And they don't mind taking their time. So my personal experience was with, my mom's fiancé. And I was in high school. I was a junior, I think, in high school when she first met him, or when they first got together. And that relationship lasted all the way up until I left for college 18, 19. Yeah, lasted all the way up till I was 19 years old. When I actually told my mom, I was 19. So from age 15, 16, all the way up to 19, he had years to infiltrate into the family, establish, good rapport and relationships with relatives and, younger sisters. Um, all the way to when I went to college the first time in Terre Haute. He was a truck driver, and my mom had put him on as this is her stepfather. That's how, when I got dropped off on the campus, it was her and my stepfather. Although at the time they weren't married. And so it started off in the early teen years as just the conversations, a touch, you getting a little too touchy feely. And at that point in my life, I had already experienced enough trauma to where I was just not a touchy feely person, except for with certain people. And the conversation just started to get very weird. Like, why are you asking me or talking to me about, did I hear you and my mother being intimate? Did I hear you? I would think that you would want me not to.
Right.
But but that was an opening. Like, I want to always be respectful of you and your sisters, and all around appearing like a good guy. Well, the older I get, it seemed like every year it was a different challenge for him, and it was almost as though he was waiting until I became of age. But in the meantime, he wanted me to relax. He wanted me to become comfortable around him. But we already know. Let me tell you about God. I was never comfortable around this man, even before he did anything to me. I was never comfortable around him. I didn't trust him. And so teenage years, it got through him talking about, oh, well, I seen you way before I even met your mom. Yeah, you was a cheerleader at, Tech High School, and I would sometimes do security for the games and stuff. And so in retrospect, you think back like, so how did you even meet my mom? Did you do that on purpose? Was it intentional? Just because you
to get
seemed
to
to
me?
digging, back then, we talking about in the early 90s, where we had internet, but it wasn't like that. And so I don't know how he would have found out, but needless to say, uh, that was the introduction. And like I said, every year became something else. It came you busting in my room at night, or I'm taking a shower and you're coming in to just opening the door. Hey, and I'm like, I got little sisters. I'm like, get out, holler. And he's like, hey, you got something I want. What? So that conversation. But as I got older, again, it got to the point where even on campus, when I left for college, I was hardly ever in my room. Me and my roommate was hardly ever in my room. I needed to be around people that I felt protected near. Shout out to my big brothers at us from my state. They know who they are. Won't list any organizational names or what have you, but at the time, nobody knew what was going on because why? Our culture. You don't tell my business outside of my household. You don't go and talk to nobody about nothing. And, therapy wasn't even a thing for us at that time. So it was an internal battle that I had to fight. I fell in that school. Why? Because I can't focus enough because I'm so afraid this man is going to pop up and find me, because he has popped up, but find me actually, and potentially actually, rape me at this point because I was 18. And so, fast forward to a year later, my grandfather had passed away. And so I went home, and it was by that time my family had moved just back to Southern Indiana, out of Indianapolis. So I went back, and he just couldn't control himself. And so when I, had told my mom, most people that are molested or abused, the parents will be like, I don't believe you, or you mistook it or something. No, that wasn't the case. She did believe me. But I was also forced to make a choice. So was she. And I wasn't chosen. It was, yeah, I believe it, but you can't tell your uncles. And on that side of my family, I come from a very large, like I have 7 uncles. My mother is one of 3 girls, one of 10. So my uncles were about that life. And so she's like, you cannot tell your uncles because they would unalive him. And so that was something that, okay, you made your choice. You made your choice. Not the first time that I was not selected as being a child and being protected. So that's what I knew. At that point, I figured it's time for me to go back to Indy and start adulting for real on my own, because I'm not getting support here. I'm not going to be protected. And he knew that.
Wow. So I like what you said. I like that you went through the story, because somebody I know will hear this and be like, but you was 15, right? But you went through the grooming, the comfortable, and with the family, peeping you out. I'm always saying them with your spirit of discernment, said, nah, and you had a reason, right? But to be able to, carry that, because people don't understand. You don't know what you don't know unless you've experienced it. Everybody can judge until it's you. And then when it's you, you want all the sympathy and empathy in the world, right? But just knowing that you were around this person, and then when you're looking for that safety net from your mom, and you're stuck with, okay, I do believe you. That's even because sometimes you hear the mama say, I believe you, and they get ready to unalive them, hurt themselves, right?
Yeah,
but she was like, I gotta make a choice, because I'm gonna need you to this, because right now we need to keep flowing this way. And I don't want him unalive. And I know that happened, but you're gonna have to deal with that.
Pretty much.
So now here we are. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna put you, maybe you go live with somebody else, which, had been done to me plenty of times before. Since the age of 6, so sometimes we would go stay with different relatives, and she would, be in a relationship and move away, or whatever the case may be. So it's not like you couldn't have asked and said, hey, can Nikki go stay with you? We got some issues over here. Can you go stay? None of that. I had to come up with a plan. And that plan to me was to come back to at least where my adolescent years were, back to Indianapolis. I had friends and family here. So, my world just exploded at that point. I had to, once again, be removed from my circle of protection, my uncles and, other relatives, and come back to Indy, and figure it out on my own. I got a letter 2 years after I had came back. So we went from 19 to 21. I got a letter stating that, she could no longer deal with him. And, it just bothered her, that it intervened and put our relationship estranged, and so I got a letter. And things have never quite been the same. I love my mother, even fast forwarding to trying to write a book and what have you, and talking to my grandmother before she passed away. I still try to protect her.
And isn't that crazy? And so that I was just getting ready, and that takes me right to where I was going, because people don't understand that, as ironic as it is, as sick as it sounds, you protect your abuser. It's crazy, because even though you hate what's happening, you've developed a love for that person. It's like a sickness. It really is. And so being a child or a teenager, right, still trying to figure out life, think about how much you've grown since 15 to the age you are now, right? Having children and such, so when you think, we don't have the capacity to be able to decipher what we should and shouldn't be doing completely. That's why we're still at home. That's why the law allegedly says that we're not really adults until 18 or 21 some states. So now you got people, and I'm just saying this because I know people are judgmental, and we don't give no damns, but it's verbal mirrors reflecting understanding. I want people to understand. And the only way you understand is to hear other people's stories. No, it doesn't make sense. I remember, like I said, I watched my mom get physically abused, literally. And I swore, no, I will never. I mean, I'm ready to go full battle, right, with her and him. And like, let's take him, let's unalive him. What was two of us, right? Then I turned around as an adult and did the exact same thing verbatim. And so you think that, but your subconscious, your mind only knows its environment. It only knows what it's accustomed to. And when you have the one person that is supposed to love you more, allegedly, than anybody else in the world, your mother, that don't even have your back in that instance, you're basically telling me, I know he did that to you, but I'm gonna still lay with this man, and I'm gonna still be with him. It's almost like you were saying, we're gonna share him. Because I'm going to still be okay with whatever he did to you and let him do that. But I'm going to still, because right now, this is what's more important. Now, I got some more questions, but because just from that, carry that over into adulthood. I can't even get to my next question because, like, carry that over because now here you are. How did that affect you in relationships now?
Most of the adult relationships I've had have been trauma bonding, because this just, a lot of people think, yeah, it happens to boys, but not as much. Maybe not, but I have encountered some men that were also, dealing with the same issues of the trauma of being molested, whether it be by a female, whether it be by a male, when they were younger. And so through that, you think, okay, I've been through this, you've been through this. Are we good? We can support each other, but it manifests in different ways. Trust issues. Okay, well, you were molested as a teenager or what have you, and so why you got that on? Because people gonna be looking at you, or not understanding. If I'm not feeling the sexual vibe, the intimacy at that moment, I can't bite the bullet and just be like, okay, why? Because my subconscious, my mental goes all the way back to being touched by someone that I didn't want to be touched by. And it triggers you. And so these are things, yes, we manage those. And I had been to therapy. We manage these feelings. But do they ever go away? No. I fight in my sleep, and I did not know that until probably 2 years or so ago.
That's deep.
Never, I never wake up, feeling like, okay, I done battled through the night, but it happens. Sometimes we'll scream and my child is busting in my room like, Mom, what's going on? Probably having a nightmare, bad dream, something like that. So and outside the relationship part, you work through that and open communication. This is how I'm feeling, and hopefully and prayerfully you have a relationship that your partner actually supports you and doesn't take it personally. That's not necessarily been all of my experience, because they do. Men are sexual beings, and they don't understand. Well, that happened a long time ago, and this is me and I need what I need. I understand that, but do you really want me to be in that mind frame? I don't think you want to, because I can't control what's going to happen when I get into that mind frame. You can't walk up behind me and I not hear you. My immediate turnaround is fight. I turn around, you be suddenly startled and you turn around and you got them, that's what it is. Sudden noises, or it'll scare me. And even if my children are at home, they like, it's us. Like, why would you? Because trauma, going into outside of the relationship or intimate relationships, being a mother, and being overly protected. Nope, you can't spend the night at such house. I don't know.
At all.
Hey, daddy, do they got teenage brothers? Who gonna be there? What they mama like? Because we can't exclude.
You can't exclude the women that say that. That.
And so that my youngest one I projected the anxiety onto her to where, now she's a little bit more introverted than my oldest. But I also made sure that they understood, I will protect you with my life. This orange, I'll rock an orange jumpsuit.
Period.
For mine. And I won't have a problem with it. So, did my journey make me a better parent, a more present and a more aware parent? Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that, because coming from molestation as well, and no, I was never penetrated either, but it was still molestation. I was probably like 9, 11, somewhere in there, and I know that guy had to be like 50. You know what I'm saying? So like that was sick. You know what I mean? Because my big mama, he'd say that's the big mama. So it's just like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? And he was her age around. Maybe she might have been 2 years younger. Older or something. But it affects you with your children because you become overly protective, yes. And you hate that you subjected them to some of that overprotectiveness. But then in retrospect, when you really think about it and what happened to you, I like to say that I'm the generational curse breaker, because none of mine thank God,
Absolutely.
had that Me Too story.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So it stopped with my children, right? And so that was imperative for me. I'm not saying I did it the best way, but I did it the only way I knew how, and that was to fight and protect them. I wanted to make sure that my children had the protection that I didn't.
Absolutely.
And so, I can be a pit bull. I'm very, we both Cancerian, so we're very loving and kind, but we can go there about especially our families, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so just to hear you say that, yeah, she might have some anxiety, but in college, doing well, you know what I'm saying, an artist, being creative, evolving. So regardless of what you had to go through, they turned out to be some beautiful young ladies. So
thank God. Thank God. If that's what it took, Jesus, if that's
then
what
it was worth it. Because look, I'd rather you be mad because you couldn't go over their house than you be mad because I let you go over their house and something happened to you.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Next question though. So what are some pivotal moments in your healing process that significantly contributed to your recovery?
I think actually becoming a mother. I definitely understood the type of parent I wanted to be when that time come. And being grateful to God because my body was so messed up hormonally, physically, all these things that I was told I would never have children or I would have to have, major like IVF type of stuff. Well, young, single, Black woman, unless I marry up, that ain't happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't afford that, or I couldn't afford that at the time. Like, okay, well, I ain't got to worry about it. Got caught up, but yeah, I had to worry about it. So I look differently. I of course, everyone is biased for their own children, but because I was told I couldn't, the fact that God had blessed me despite what was going on in my body, I feel like I'm even more so protective over them. I have fallen out with people over my kids, family members. No, she can't come stay with you because you gotta you entertaining somebody and we don't know him. Or no, I can't send you my kids for the summer because if you didn't protect me, I know good and damn well you ain't gonna protect.
You ain't gonna protect me, man. You older.
No. So my children, because honestly, going through that, and then on the adulthood side, you single. At the time, I didn't have my education completed. Working just kind of regular jobs, menial jobs where I got to clock in and clock out. They pushed me. I didn't go to beauty school until after I had a child, thinking outside the box. But honestly, mentally, the depression, the self-esteem issues, because relationships crumbled, intimate relationships, dissolved because I wasn't necessarily, or I felt that I wasn't, up to this standard to where my partner was. Definitely self-esteem issues, definitely abuse. It's weird, like you said, that's what I knew, and so it was comfortable. To have someone not cheat on me or abuse me verbally, those types of things, that was not normal for me.
Right.
And so that's what I was drawn to subconsciously. Of course, I would never say that's the type of relationship I want to be in, but so they pushed me to be more of an advocate for myself and them. They pushed me because I don't want anybody around myself or my children that is not about the right. And I'm gonna do, that backstory, the research, and now we do have social media. I can look and see what you
who's your cousin's cousin.
all of that, and so yeah, we so definitely and even moving over to having health issues. Our mind is phenomenal, but when your mind suffers a trauma, whether it be you're 6 years old, whether it be you're 16, that part of your mind doesn't forget. You can say I moved on, I managed. So fast forward into relationships and dating, when it didn't work out, my mind went back to that place of being not even the time of molestation, but being that little 6-year-old little girl whose mama left. Those feelings of abandonment, they resurface every time you're
Yes.
rejected. Those feelings of abandonment resurface. You go through the
Yes.
same emotions, and if you don't have a spiritual relationship, whoever you want to believe in, whatever,
Right.
if you don't
Right.
have that spiritual relationship, if you don't have positive people around you, if you don't have a good strong support system, however that is, whatever that looks like
Mm-hmm.
for you,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to wear you down. And once this gets worn down and tired and it has all these little pockets of trauma trapped, then the body follows.
You know, 100%.
And
Yeah.
that's what it is. So having to work through that, and being honest, like, I've started my nonprofit because of my experiences, and because I didn't have a platform, I didn't have anybody coming to save me, because I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah. Because
So
everything needs to be hush hush
yes, and we don't heal. We do not
like
heal. We
that.
don't talk about it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And so it's leading me to because we're going to get into the psychological effects of it. All right. So how does surviving childhood molestation impact one's mental health and emotional well being in adulthood? And I think you tapped on some of it, but if you wanted to add anything to that.
As far as the relationship, the mother-daughter relationship, as I got older, I still had the need to please. I still had
Mm,
the need to want her to say, "I'm proud of you." I still had that need of her validating me, because I wasn't. Everybody look at, like, I'm all over the place with my kids when they were, in high school and junior high. You playing this sport, I'm there. I don't care. I'm there at all the games. I'm there at all the parent conferences. I'm there for
hmm.
whatever little program you in, because I didn't have that.
Right.
We make a big deal of stuff, proms and the formal dress. I didn't have that. Yes, I did go to my junior prom, did go to my senior prom, but I didn't have any pictures. The parents get out there, we take pictures, we call, grandparents and godparents and all. I didn't have that.
Right.
She was asleep on the couch,
Wow.
and I don't want to paint a picture like that she never was involved. There were some things that I did learn, positive things. I learned independence. I learned how to hustle. You don't
Yeah.
ever give up. I've watched my mom work 3 jobs at one point, to where her body was just broke down. So she would do it when she had to do it. That's just what
Right.
it was. And I respected that. So, and I have those same things, and I pass those things on to my girls. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's real, and I get what you're saying. But what I love is that, like, at the end of the day, it's your story. You experienced it, and it's never to portray that person as a bad person. But nobody can rob me of my story either, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, like, it might be uncomfortable for another person or that person to eventually hear that this is what happened. But like, we were both there. We literally know that this happened, and so the beauty and the healing comes from not being silenced,
Absolutely. And
right?
so yeah, in forming the nonprofit, I had to share my story over and over and over again. Every time we got new girls and parents signing, up for the program, over and over again. That also is what helped me to heal. And I will be transparent and say, even now when I'm talking with parents, and the kids are acting out, behavioral issues, mental issues, traumas, um, I'm transparent with them as well. I know what
Mm-hmm.
it's like to have a parent who was on drugs. I know what it's like to have a parent who was physically abused. And
Absolutely.
and so in that, I see both sides of the coin. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there was a period that I did act out, when I felt like the control part. When you're a kid, you can't
Yeah.
control what happens to you in your environment. But as an adult, honey, I've been that woman. I mean, if somebody's gonna take it from me, at least I can control who I can give it to.
Right. It's
So I've
mine.
been
Let me just, yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
hmm And
Seriously.
people not understand, well, why you with that dude, or why you talk to him? Because uh he don't necessarily, that's not the only thing that he wants from me. Or, if that does happen, if it does develop into an intimate relationship, I can control whether I cut it off or not.
Exactly. Versus somebody just deciding I'm going to take what I want from you and you have no say. Because now I've been stripped of my dignity, my integrity, and everything. You've robbed me of feeling human. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Reduced me to less than an animal, because people treat their dogs and cats better than you feel when a person is taking your body from you.
Absolutely.
Right. What are some common misconceptions? Girl, I can't talk. What are some common misconceptions about the long-term effects of childhood molestation on survivors?
I think people or think that after a certain time, and because, think about it. How many people do you know have been molested or raped? I probably know more females that have experienced that on some level than not.
True.
So I think the misconception is that once you get through it, whether you go to therapy and do all the shadow work behind it, that you're supposed to get over it. But triggers, again, like I said earlier, I have parts of my mind that's still stuck at that 6-year-old little girl watching her mom get on the plane and move to a whole nother state. And at the time didn't know. So when those feelings of abandonment come up, or let's say somebody don't show up for something for me, it regurgitates all over us all in that process. No, I don't immediately start thinking, oh, this is just like when I was 6. No, but that same feeling of abandonment, that same feeling of not being enough, that and if you don't have the relationships that I mentioned earlier that support you, that are there to guide you, honey, because you've been my rock on a lot. We don't roll out on some things. You hear me?
Baby.
But you, as my, have plenty of times have had to calm me down, have had to reel me back in. Thank God for that. Love you to life. But people, in your circle like that are willing to do that, you can fall at any time. You have people who have achieved much success in our eyes and then go off and commit suicide.
Absolutely.
It's an internal battle. Sometimes it's a daily battle. That's self-esteem. You got to work. Once you've been traumatized as a kid, you have to do that extra work to overcome and to be able to maintain and manage those feelings. Sometimes, I can talk about things now and be like, from that, it still bothers me, or it still puts me into a point where I want to go holler at somebody, And sometimes you can surprise yourself. Here I am, next month, God willing, about to be 49 years old. Why can I remember what that feels like of having to sleep on the floor, to take a nap, at cousin's house? Why does it bother me now? Because as a kid, you don't know no better. You do as you told.
Right. Absolutely.
Those feelings do resurface. And so you have to prepare yourself.
Absolutely.
Have to work with, again, parents and kids, that have behavioral or mental issues, coping skills. What is establishing the coping skills look like? That looks like, you having to find out what works for you. Remember, you was like, you got to do the meditation. And I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what kind of spirit I'm conjuring up, and I don't know what this word means. But as a Christian, you was like, here, do this one. And, I still get the emails of the Christian one, and they recite, scripture or whatever. And that helps to calm my spirit, well, whatever's going on. And so you have to figure out what works for you. We would have our monthly, mental health or our sister days.
And we got to get back to that. Side note. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes. It helps you to manage your stress. It helps you to, be proactive instead of reactive. Some things you can't help because life just life. But if triggering you, like leaving my daughter, sometimes I do work at, respite house part-time and, working overnights, which was my choice, working overnights when my daughter's home from college. I'm sitting here like this, okay, is she cool? Let me, I know she up, stay up late. So let me call and text her, make sure she cool. That worrying, that anxiety, it doesn't necessarily go away.
It does not.
You have to learn to manage it, and you got to incorporate positive coping skills. I talk about Other people I know, older people, and especially men, they self-medicate. A lot of
Yeah.
people do, but
Right.
especially black men, they self-medicate. Not too many's gonna go to therapy and be vulnerable in it, because that's not what we instill in them. We instill in them, you got to be a man. You can't cry.
Toughen up.
As a little boy,
Suck it up.
that's a form of abuse.
Yeah, this baby's hurting at 3. They whole knee is busted. He's like, you gotta quit crying. Say what? Because you a boy?
You and I just spanked your behind, but you better not cry. I'm gonna give you something else to cry about. That is abuse.
Form of abuse, and we don't know it, but it is.
We have to want to change in order for that to come, And so, you gotta, again, surround yourself with positive people that know your story, that are not going to be judgmental. The friends got to be your friends, in good times and in bad, almost like a marriage, in good times and in bad. Don't be my friend when I'm down, because you think you're so much above me, and then because that same trauma goes over it, not into just relationships between
platonic, platonic as well.
Over into your platonic relationships. It definitely goes and bleeds over to your sisterhood, all of those.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It does, and that's the thing. And I love what you said, because people just assume, like you said, that I should be 49 years old and God gonna do it. So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? But just that doesn't mean that the experience, you can't take the experience away. And I like what you keep saying, because healing, first of all, is a process. So I like that you keep saying manage. You have to learn how to manage, because there are some things that you have to manage. There are some things, no matter how bad you want them to get out of your mind, it's a process. And so you've got to manage that. Today is just not that good of a day, or this particular hour of the day, I'm really on this subject, but I know that I'll be okay, because it goes back to those positive affirmations, the meditations, whatever that was, just quieting the mind, whatever works for you, because you've learned to manage and understand, yes, I'm not there anymore, but when it has affected you, and like you said earlier on, when you're not getting the counseling or, the psychological help that you need, where do you put those feelings? How do you react? How do you respond?
It could be suppression, right? You could have suppressed those and not even think about it, but it manifests in other ways. It manifests in your communication. There are times earlier on that, even in parenting, we know being a parent is not an easy task. And how if for whatever reason, a certain time of the year, I didn't know these things, that, to think about it and say, oh yeah, this was about time this happened to me. Why am I angry? Why am I fussing? Why am I, just, being mean to people?
Right.
Yeah. Because your mind and your body remembers.
It does. And triggers, when certain triggers, sometimes it's just a word. Did he say apple pie? Right? Because what if your molester called you apple pie? You know what I'm saying? And you want to throw up, and so people look at people from the exterior, and you have no idea what that person is going through. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that. Don't assume that is a misconception. Now, should we be working on our healing? Yes, but everybody is not privy to access that healing, or to even desire it, or to even know they need it. So I want to tap into, and you really did this a little bit, tap into your path to healing. I mean, you kind of talked about having those people that you can trust. You talked about having friends around you, your safe circle, knowing that you can do those things. So what other steps did you take to begin your healing process after experiencing childhood and molestation?
I went to therapy, and even that in itself was a battle, because again, as a Christian, and my foundation, therapy, you're gonna talk to a crazy doctor. You're gonna talk. You supposed to pray through that. You supposed to go talk to your pastor. All of that. But understand, if you have a broken arm, you ain't gonna just lay on the altar and say, "Lord, heal me." I mean, you can, but let's use wisdom. There are professionals that can help you with your problem.
Seriously,
go to the hospital and they can set that thing to where it heals. The same thing goes for your mind. You have to say, okay, enough is enough, and I can't do this by myself. And it's manifesting and projecting, miscommunications and being on guard and, having walls up, with my relationships, this is not working. At some point,
Right.
you have to say, I need some help. But it was a battle because that was my foundation. Like, you're supposed to pray, you're supposed to take it to God, you're supposed to take it to, the ministers, the deacons, whoever else. You ain't supposed to go talk to some stranger. But in that, and I got a release. And that's kind of what helped me start the process over again, because it's been times where, okay, I've stopped it, I've done it, and then we fall right back into those same things that are maybe not so healthy as coping skills. But I went, and God is so awesome. I selected a lady, I was in corporate America at the time. And then, so I was using my benefits, right? And so they said you can have like 6 sessions with, somebody who's in network. So of course I found someone in network, and she wasn't a psychologist, but she was a licensed clinical social worker. So she's not going to be prescribing no medications. It's just somebody I'll talk to. And again, I didn't know anybody that went to her. I just selected somebody that was close to where I lived and all, in network. So I went. And on the first day, she was like, so let me tell you about me. She's like, after she asked the initial questions and did the assessment, why did it take you so long to just say, why are you coming now? And they all why are you coming right now? What has pushed you over the edge to where you feel like I need to seek professional help? It's like I just couldn't manage it anymore. Like, I was a mental mess.
Right.
She said, well, let me ease your mind. I said, but my faith, I was hanging on to my faith and using that as the sole reason of why I shouldn't be going to get professional help, which is not so. She said, let me tell you, I'm a Christian. And what church you belong to? Now, this is a lady who's not African American descent, And so I wasn't able to say that. She was saying, she said, I'm a Christian and I've been to your church. What?
Right. I said that. Right.
I know of your pastor, and I know of, what you guys believe and what you stand on. And so let me calm your spirit. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you an exercise, kind of like what you did with the Christian meditation. She said, when your mind, and this is another behavior of a trauma, or someone who has survived trauma, whether it be molestation or anything else, we make our mind busy so we don't have to think about things.
Absolutely.
A ton of stuff and put a ton of stuff onto our plate. So we don't have time to think about that. It's there, but we don't have time to think about that. Here, busy. But again, you can't run away from it.
At all.
And so again, she said, I'm gonna give you an exercise to do. When your mind is busy and it can't settle down because it's affecting your sleep, it's affecting your work, it's affecting how you parent. How many times can you say the Lord's Prayer in 20 seconds? And she was like, we're going to do it right now. So in the office, doing the work right then and there, and slowly but surely, by the time I said it like 7 times, I was down here, and I felt released. I felt like I was holding my breath the whole time, and I could finally, when you're getting something done, if you're about to get a shot at the doctor's office, and they, you like, that shot, once it was over with, it was like, whew.
Right.
And that was the start. There's been plenty of times where I've done the work and said, okay, well, now I think I need to probably go back, because things are, I'm overwhelming myself. I'm pushing myself. Yeah. So
I love it because the healing comes from you recognizing that you need the help, though. Right. You want to get, and not ashamed to say that, because that was, something that was kind of ostracized, that was, taboo. No, don't you talk about, like you said, talking to nobody, like, especially being African American. Like, we don't do that. We pray and we wait on the Lord. Okay. But he gave me a spirit of discernment and said, I need to talk to somebody before I kill everybody. Right. So for real. And so I think that it is imperative for people to understand how important and critical it is to seek help, seek that help. I don't care, how old you are, how strong you are, how much you've prayed. If you are still battling in your mind over and over and over and over again, and you're hitting these seasons of depression, and we're not doctors or anything, but if that's something you're seeing yourself going through on a daily basis, where you can't break yourself, you need help. You need help. And the first step is recognizing that. And so it's very critical on your journey to seek it and finding support groups. Sometimes, because I would honestly say, because I was a part of Virtue, I mean, your organization, and being on the board, I could honestly say, like you said, I had to tell my story over and over, but that was you actually being able to express it publicly. That was healing. That was counseling. That was a group. It was an organization, a platform that you put together to be able to speak, but also bless other people. So that was, people don't think about that. Get in a group, a support group that supports people that have been through things like you too, right? Because that helps. Surround yourself around people that are uplifting you and not tearing you down.
Absolutely.
Because that adds to your trauma. Because now here you are being reminded, especially if you were someone who, look at you, or you were, your parents talked about you, you just stupid. And then you got somebody else coming into your life that's treating you like trash. That's a trigger. Right. So you have to be conscious of getting that help, because if you don't too, you keep accepting the same thing over.
And you're going to keep repeating it.
Over and over. Over and over.
That she did give me, another nugget that she did give me that I was not aware of. She's like, you're stuck in survival mode.
Oh, that's deep.
You're stuck. Like, you're still, again, the busy work, you're piling all these things. Who are you trying to prove something to? Is it the outside, or is it yourself? You're trying to validate yourself by having, you trying to do this and having all these accolades and, or what have you. You haven't even realized that you're a success. You've already, maybe not in your eyes. No, I'm not a millionaire, whatever. She was like, but you're still here. That's a success.
Period. Because somebody did not decide to stay.
Absolutely. And, at 14, going back, at 14, being brought to Indianapolis and in dealing with a parent who, and not my mom, but dealing with a parent that had, substance abuse issues, and, low income and not having, and, Jesus, it's too much. I'm out. As a kid, I'm out. I'm going to take these pills and, or what have you. And because this is too much for a kid.
Yeah.
To have to deal with. And so that suicidal ideation, that again is another form that had manifest. It can resurface again. You can be re-triggered over and over again until you get your reason why that you need to survive. My reasons to survive was for my children. My reasons to survive was so that our young ladies, our Black and brown young ladies, know that you are worthy, despite what your mama, your daddy, your cousin, whoever your guardian is, grandma and them, despite where you live at, whether you come from, being comfortable, whether you come from a wealthy family or whether you come from a family that is in the hood and you just don't have.
Right. Yeah.
You are here for a purpose.
Seriously. You have a reason.
It revealed to you at that moment, but you're here. So all the trials, all the trauma, all the hurt, all the pain, if it ain't for you, it's for the next generation coming. Break the generational curses. And if you put that in your mindset, I didn't have a choice. I couldn't give up.
Especially and that leads me to what you really went right. I mean, I'm loving this because you went right. Because I wanted to talk about building that resilience, because my question was going to be, but you tapped right into it. But just so people know, I was going to ask you, how did you build resilience and reclaim your sense of self-worth after surviving childhood molestation? And what I'm hearing is, and you can, definitely add to, but I'm hearing first, I got the help I needed. I realized that I needed help. And then once I did, I realized that I continued to need help and that it was an ongoing process and that I couldn't just leave myself because one day I felt good. I needed to understand that anything can make those feelings and issues resurface. But go ahead. How did you, what else did you do to reclaim your self-worth?
Outside of that relationship, so I started the organization, it was in 2010, and I fought against it for 4 years. I fought, God, this ain't what I'm supposed to do, because I don't have a bunch of initials behind my name with the accolades and the different degrees, and nobody's gonna listen to me because I'm a single Black mom, low income, and I'm barely making add on top of it, I have now a chronic illness, autoimmune, and I'm barely making it. I just want to survive till tomorrow. Who am I to go and talk to other people? Who am I to go and talk to people about their kids and have them trust me with their kids to be able to instill these things? And I fought against it for 4 years, and everything I did crumbled. I'm like, I'm moving to Florida. My auntie and my mama's there. I'm gonna move to Florida. Honey, flew out, got a job, had a house in a gated community. I was about to do big things in my mind. God said, you are being disobedient. And because my child, I know you are so hard-headed. You hard-headed. And so you ain't gonna get what I'm telling you to do until I make them not come to fruition. So everything shut down. And I was like, okay, he ain't playing with me. So let me go ahead.
He was sick of you.
Yeah, he was sick of me. Let me go ahead and get my life together, because he's whooping me right now because I had made my own plans and had my own thing that I was going to do. So doing that and being able to pour into other young ladies, again, Black and brown young ladies, and just to give them a foundation and a platform to where I'm validating them as well. And they're also giving me back some validation too. You know, people and only see the mask, and the mask is what we wear every day when we're dealing with public and other people. And so I was able to publicly kind of take off the mask and be transparent and not feel judged. Oh, me too, Miss Nikki. I went through that too. Or, I was given up, by my parents, and, somebody else adopted me in the family or what have you, I went through that too. And so, okay, God, that was a reason.
Yeah.
There was a reason why you didn't let me leave here when I wanted to. There was a reason why you took me through this relationship, or even seeing some of the relationships that my mother was in with her. I mean, she had me at 20. So seeing some of those relationships that didn't work out so much out to her, she was like, well, it happened to me, but I had a front row seat.
Right. I was right there.
Yeah. So it happened to you maybe physically, but I saw it, and so I internalized that.
Yes.
And we do. But that, seeking the help, getting out of survival mode, and it's a journey that keeps manifesting itself, and you have to work on it. You have to work better. You have to understand that, whatever it looks like now is not what it's going to be in the end, and you have to have faith in that. Stand on that.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that was the answer to your question.
No, it did. No, I love it. No, I mean, yes, it did. So I want to ask you this. What advice then would you give survivors struggling to establish healthy, trusting relationships after being a survivor of molestation?
Communication, first and foremost. I mean, any relationship, communication.
Of course. Yeah.
We all have a wall built up. Those that have been exposed to abuse or trauma, we have this wall built up.
Absolutely.
We put the significant others through some things. We do, knowingly and unknowingly.
True.
And so, being able to work on these things. Listen, I'm not perfect. This is my background. You don't see certain people around me in my life like maybe yours that, you might have grew up in a 2-parent household and, never had to really go through anything. That's great for you. But on my end, I'm a perfect mess.
Hello, a beautiful mess, yes.
And perfectly perfect. But this is what I've experienced. And so how does that manifest? I may be a little irritable at times. And I can't give you a reason why. It just is. I may be a little bit more clingy than somebody else. Oh, you going? Can I go? Or, I may need and seek attention and validation from you. I need that extra affection. I need for us to be able to talk. But the first and foremost is definitely making sure that you are on the same accord, that you are looking for the kind of same things in the relationship. Communication. Is this gonna be a long-term thing, or is this gonna be we just dating and we just gonna kick it and see what happens? Most people who have experienced trauma, that's not what they're looking for. The one thing that I said that I have always been, wanting in my life is that stability. We moved around a lot when I was a kid,
Right.
with
Mm-hmm.
every school, from my home to every school I've been to, and uprooted. And sometimes I would be with my mom, sometimes I would be with other relatives in the family, and so I would have to go to school. So for me, once I became a parent,
Yeah.
not moving.
She's not none of that.
I'm not doing that. I'm not going, even when I had the mindset I'm moving to Florida, well, I have to wait. So I actually told the job, I gotta wait till my kids get out of school because I'm not leaving them behind.
Ever.
That's a response trauma. Some parents can go, let me set up shop and let me get things together. Then I'll come for my kids, later on. That has happened to me. I'm not gonna do
Right.
it. So,
Yeah.
them under your partner understanding that, child rearing, parenting.
Mm.
I'm gonna parent different than somebody who has not experienced abuse. I mean,
Absolutely.
with social media and everything, we know things happen, but sometimes we live in a world when everything is good. We live in a world that we don't think about those things. Praise God for
Right.
you. It's a daily thing. When my children leave out this door, what you doing? Who you with? Where you going?
Exactly. Because I need
Let
to
them
know.
breathe. Right, let them breathe. You being overprotective. You gonna make them have. I realize that, but for mine, in order for me to have peace, this is how I got to do it,
Hey.
and I'm communicating with you that this is how I need to do it. You may not agree with it, but let me have that, unless it's something totally off the wall.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about these things.
We do, and I was just gonna ask because before we close out, especially being a behavioral specialist, my question, I really had two. We'll see, but the first one was about creating change. What changes do you hope to see in society's understanding and treatment of childhood molestation survivors?
I believe that compared to how it was when we were younger, it's out now. There are so many resources available for help, but you got to want the help, number one, because otherwise you're not going to stay committed in the process. But and figuring out what, again, positive coping skills work for you, whether that
Mm-hmm.
means, okay, I got to go on vacation. I love to travel. Yeah, now that my children are older, I love to travel. Why? Because it's an escape from,
Yeah.
and everything is subject to your own perspective. You
Right.
know, I like to travel because I can escape and I don't have to worry about the phone calls and the text messages, whether it be from clients and families or
Absolutely.
my own, family and responsibilities. Let me escape a little bit, even
Mm-hmm.
if I say I'm having a no day. And I learned no day again, another resource, a minister at a different church, a wonderful, beautiful woman. I don't know if she mind me mentioning her name, but Minister Carol Betts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I went to it was a girlfriend gathering, but she came and spoke, and just a beautiful woman of God. And you're
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have, what she explained, you're allowed to have a no day. You're allowed to
Well,
say no without having to give an explanation.
absolutely.
But that part of me, that abandoned kid in me, says I have to show up because I want them to know that I love them and I'm there for them, because I want them to do it for me too.
And if I do it, they'll
So
do it.
yeah, if I do it, that's the expectation. I love you how I want to be loved, and I'm giving you the things in this relationship, whether it's girlfriends, or intimate relationship or what have you. I'm giving you what I want you to really give to me.
Right. But
And
then
when you
turn
don't have
around
that,
and
what
not
you
get
say.
that reciprocity. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you don't have that, so when you don't have that, those same feelings start over again. But so you're allowed to have a no day. Take your no day. I'm not waiting
Yes.
for nobody. I'm not. I'm not doing. I can't no, and I may not even take your call if it ain't an
Really.
emergency. You have to be careful of people dumping on you spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you don't want to be there, but if I'm at a place where I'm at the edge and you call me and you dump, not my sisters, of course, but
Yeah.
that outside people, even sometimes my clients, I have to say today, I'm going to cancel today. I'm not feeling good today,
Yeah.
whatever it be, because I can't take what I'm about to walk into.
Facts.
Even in my job, I have, kids that have been molested. And when I go in there and I see a family that, or a parent that's not they not in tune with what that kid's perspective is, it's a trigger.
It's a trigger.
And I have to be transparent. You know what? This is where we at, and you know, we'll work on it, and we'll continue to work on it. But when I go home, I got to decompress. And I got to do that in a positive way, whether that be, you know, meditating, doing something for myself, going to get that massage, or simply, hey, girl, let's go out to breakfast. Let's go to dinner. Let's, you know, and I may not even talk about that at all with you. But during that time, I'm fellowshipping, I'm laughing, I'm, you know, hearing what you got going on in your life that I don't got to worry about mine right at this moment. And separate myself. So all of these things, it's not going to be just a one answer to everything, and magically everything's going to be just that. That's not how this works. It's not how it works. We are ever evolving. And you should be. You shouldn't be the same person that you was 6 months ago, 2 years ago. You should be better and constantly working on yourself.
Absolutely.
Because we're going to encounter different things as we age and go through life.
And that's real. And that's the thing. I think for me, what I want to see in society is understanding that this is happening. The acceptance that it's really happening. A lot of people still, even today, want to sweep things under the rug like it's not happening. Right. And so, and really understanding that children have a voice. Because a lot of times, what's wrong with you? Like you said, your whole spirit, your whole vibe told you that man was no good. That was something innate. That was something that you were a child and you couldn't defend yourself. So just understanding that just because a person is a child, right? And because some kids be like, cry or do this when they get around. And my boy's acting like that. No, ask that baby, why is he or she acting like that?
Absolutely.
What is it that every time so-and-so come over, this baby tries to leave, or this baby cries, or this baby, accept it. Because we live in a time that we can really change it. There are so many resources. We can change the trajectory. So instead of us just letting it continue to be one of those conversations or one of those taboo things, because you're still taking care of people and interacting with people today from something you went through how many years ago?
30 plus, 35 years
30 plus years ago, and it's still very prevalent in society right now because it's the things that people continue to want to sweep under the rug and act like it doesn't exist.
And it's in a lot of it in our culture. I hope my battery.
No, you're fine.
But
no, that's good.
But yeah, absolutely. There are plenty of resources, and I would not say that we don't know about it, or certain people are not acknowledging. But for us, we just like, oh, girl, somebody didn't already went through that. And it's true. From generations and generations ago, they used to make us breed with our own children at some point. You know what I mean? So yes, the birth incest is not nothing that's new.
Exactly.
Molestation, rape is nothing that's new.
Yeah,
there's nothing new under the sun. Absolutely. And so, but why do we hide it in the shadows? We got to talk about it. We got to bring it to the forefront. We got to make it so that these are not always strangers coming off the street grabbing your children. This is another trigger for me. Stop telling your children or, you know, younger kids in your family or friends, what have you, that's Uncle such and such.
Yeah, because that's not your uncle.
That ain't your auntie that come over, and auntie, you're going into your room, daddy.
Yeah, because why are you going in there with her every time? Auntie, why auntie? Because you don't go in there with Auntie Vicky.
Yeah. Don't sit, you know, go sit on such and such, and Uncle such talk to you. Come here, let me hug you, let me kiss you.
I can't.
I'll rock orange. I'll rock orange.
I feel that. No, seriously. No, you're fine. You're fine. Grab your cord if you need to. We about to close out. So, but the reality is, you know, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, it's just at the end of the day, because I think I lost her, but she gonna come back on. It's not a big deal. And if not, that's okay. But I wanted to have this episode because, you know, we we don't want to talk about the things that are really happening behind closed doors. And so we think that our mental isn't affected by so many things, but it is. And so as a result, we sweep it under the rug, or we act like I said, the children, their voice doesn't matter. It's a lot, right? And so I wanted to have my sister on because unfortunately, I too have been a victim of molestation. Fortunately, I too have experienced the mental effects that it has on your body, on your mind, right? And so it's not an easy feat. And sometimes it's a daily feat, like she said. And just when you think you've healed from something, here comes something else making you understand that I still got some healing to do. So I just want to make sure that you understand the importance of touching those taboo topics, listening to your children. And if you are any type of victim of molestation or anything like that, you need to go and make sure that you get the help that you need. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, I want you to remember, first of all, that your story matters. Your story matters. It doesn't matter what it is that you've gone through. Second of all, it's never too late to get the help that you need. Third of all, if you need that help, find it. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be intimidated by it. Go get the help that you need, whether that's getting in a support group, going to a psychiatrist, psychologist, to a counselor, whatever is required at that time, right? Make sure that you get the help that you need. Then, fourth, remember that it's an ongoing process. Don't beat yourself up because you had a bad day. Don't beat yourself up because something triggered you and now you got to go back to the drawing board to realize that, you know what? I need some help. It's okay. Like my sister said, like Miss Saunders said, it's okay. Have a no day. No, I'm not doing that. No. But in all of this, I want you to take away that no matter what, you absolutely matter. Right? You matter. So as you know, I was hoping she'd come back in, but I won't keep you guys any longer. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining us every single week to hear these powerful stories, to hear these testimonies, to hear what's going on, to hear people just like you who have survived and overcome. That's what Verbal Mirrors Reflecting Understanding is all about. And so again, we want to thank everyone who joins us, who supports us. Please follow us on Podbean. We're trying to reach 1,000 followers and subscribers. Check us out. We're also on iHeart. We're also on so many things. You know, it's just important that you check us out, follow us, see, support, listen, share the videos, right? Because we just want to get some real conversations out to some real people that know that we can survive, but we got to band together and do the dang thing. So thank you for joining Verbal Mirrors. And you know how we do. We're going to close out with a good old video. We appreciate you. And until next time, see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Bye. As we wrap up another episode of Verbal Mirrors Reflecting Understanding, we encourage you to carry the reflection sparked here into your daily interactions. Let the echoes of diverse perspective guide your journey towards greater empathy and connection. Thank you for being a part of our dialogue. Until next time, may your mirrors of understanding continue to reflect a world filled with compassion and unity.